Wonderful. Welcome back to the Sapphire Spider Oracle channel. If you're a returning listener, thanks for being back. If it's your first time, you're just in time for the final reading of 2021. This is my last batch of zodiac sign readings for this year. I might try to get a pick a pile in for New Year's, but definitely the last round of full zodiac signs. I've got the Wildwood Tarot. I've got some runes. I've got books here for decoding and stuff. So we will get started. We're just going to jump right in with the tarot. I was feeling a little lightheaded before I started this reading, so I'm definitely taking the time to have a very chill, calm, grounded energy. I think it was this one, but it was in my head. It was just saying three for me. So that's what I'm saying is, let's start with 3 cards. That one was like a karate chop, like. And look, there's 3 cards. So let's do that. Hang on. Okay. Okay. 1, 2. Oh man, it was just giving me some kind of song. It was just talking about some kind of line about karate chop. But I don't, that was like literally, there's something there about karate chop, Virgo. There's something there about karate chop, and it was this card over here. And honestly, I feel like I'm supposed to pull these 2 and then do these 3, or vice versa. Interesting energy, Virgo. Now it just gave me that fairy tale about like the 3 doors, and there's like the frog or the guardian that sits in front of it, and it's like, which door? I always tell a lie. This one leads to certain death. This one leads to this. This one leads to that. And it's bringing up like, how do you solve that riddle? Which, whew, it's been a long, long time since I solved that one. So, Virgo, we're going to dismiss any of that confusion. And we're going to start, it said dead center. We're going to start in the dead center. So here we go. What is, and sorry, this is a check-in for the end of the year. So the message is about, what do you need to hear, say, or do to finish wrapping up 2021? Let's go. Dang, it said, what a relief. Said, what a relief. This is the 8 of Bows. This is Hearthfire. Oh, okay. It just said brotherly love. I usually see this card as ancestors around you, but it is very specifically a masculine energy because it's only men here. So it's usually about the camaraderie shared by brothers or that similar type of connection. Even if this isn't just a group of all men, Virgo, it's representative of fraternity. Fraternity is the word. Brotherly love in that sense. And the stories that are shared in essence in those times. And that's where it can be ancestors. It could be just like friends and soulmates. It could be passed on loved ones watching over you. It's definitely, I mean, we're talking about wintertime. They're all around this bonfire, drinking, sharing stories of the hunt, of their travels, of dangers, of whatever they had to go through, right? It's kind of like being in an ale hall with a bunch of Vikings, essentially. And so that's kind of what is here in the center. This brotherly love, this warmth, being protected, just sharing good stories, all around good time. But and it is pointing out that there's a difference between like a sisterly love and a brotherly love. They are equal and the same, right? But a brotherly type of love, it just said it's definitely more protective. It can be a little more joking and playful and not like roughhousing, but kind of giving you a hard time, even though it's all in good fun, right? Like it's a very playful, jolly, that was a good word. Thank you, Spirit. Jolly energy, right? It's a very jolly energy. Well, that's a pretty nice card to come out in the center with there. So let's continue. Let's go right first. Seven of Arrows, insecurities. You know, it's really funny is, yeah, Virgo. All right, let's have a chat. It just said, let's have a chat. It just said. So, okay. I always do a personal reading for myself, and I definitely pulled cards for myself earlier today, and I've already pulled the Seven of Swords today from a different deck. And here it is again for me in this reading here. I'm a Virgo, so this is definitely the energy that we're working with today. But there are two big differences between the Seven of Swords that I have in this other deck and the Seven of Swords I have here. Nice. In fact, I'm going to go get it. So I'm going to pause this for a second and I'll be right back. All right, Virgo, I'm back. So, Seven of Swords in the deck that I pulled earlier, and there's a Seven of Arrows right here. Seven of Swords in all decks is usually about some sneaking and trickery and things along those lines. So, when I pulled this card earlier today, it's one of those things where it can be a warning to you if you're doing something like sneaky or whatnot, that you might get caught, right? We have this really evil shadow being, it is the coyote's shadow, and yet at the same time, I always see it as like being projected onto the coyote, right? So there's that kind of energy, and then there's this Seven of Swords, and in this deck in particular, this one's about insecurities. So you can see one's about like rather stealing, taking, and being caught in that energy. And one's more about like being worried about, no, sorry, it's having a hard time like clearly stating what I'm trying to make. Huge difference, right? You being shot and wounded, feeling insecure because of either past wounds or present wounds that, you know, like you're catching a lot of arrows, or versus the energy of like you doing something you're not supposed to do and you're getting caught, right? So I just wanted to say that when I pulled this card, it was one of those things where I had to dismiss some fears and anxieties and literally, and I'm gonna like literally flip that card and put that away. Because of the fact that if you don't resonate with a certain energy for yourself, then you don't need to be taking that energy into yourself and assuming that everything's always your fault or you're always the problem, right? That's the insecurities you're working through. And it's kind of showing it to me almost as if it's, okay, yeah. It's talking about part of you is either worried about or is currently feeling a lot of wounds coming from, I would say, some masculine energy. It's like you're worried about it or you're currently experiencing it. Because there's 8 bows here, right? There's 8 bows here. There's 7 arrows. So it's like you've been hit by a lot of arrows. And it's kind of like you're worried about not everybody being your friend, like people not being authentic and true, right? People kind of stabbing you in your back. And in fact, there is an arrow coming to her back right here. She's got a few through the heart. She's got a few still heading at her. She's got barbed wire wrapped around her feet. Woo, Virgo. I just, FYI, I cleansed the space and everything. That, y'all, that was a dark, heavy energy that just came off of there. That was a heavy ass energy that just came off of this. It just gave me Silent Hill, the movie. I know there's a video game too. Either one's really freaky, and there's like a whole scene of barbed wire and stuff, right? I remember I snuck into that movie with my dance teacher. It was rated R. It was so not worth it, you guys. Like, oh, such a, just like, oh my God, that movie. And that's what I mean. Like, that was, I was pretty young. I had to sneak into it. I do remember that. So it was one of those things where it's like, man, that movie was intense and freaked me out. And that's the energy that just came off of here. But with that whole energy of Silent Hill, that's the insecurities. It's giving me that storyline, how she's like, she's after her kid, right? She's after her kid. She's trying to get her kid out of that town safely, go save her. It's giving me the messages, Virgo. She's like trying to get her kid out of that terrible place, and there's like the alarms that go off at certain times. You gotta yeah, like get through certain phases and spaces at times. And at the core of the movie, the core of the message of that whole thing is when you're a child and your mother like shuns you or something like that, or any parent, right? Anyone that's important in your life shuns you, it essentially creates very deep wounds. And especially as like a child, being given up, forsaken by their mother type deal, it's kind of one of those things, which I don't personally resonate with. Like my parents are fine and everything's fine. But there's this energy coming off of here, Virgo, is talking about how mother is God in the eyes of a child. And that's why mothers often, thank you, Spirit, it's a bit of a self-sacrificial energy. It's also this fear, there's a ton of fear coming off of here. But it's also a bunch of resilience. That's the thing, like that whole environment is really hard to navigate through. Like, it was showing me all the scenes of like Charlize Theron with like those freaky nurses, right? And like she's got to get through this whole town. It's basically a maze. Woo. Okay, now that was definitely personal, and it's supposed to take place in a coal mine area of West Virginia, which is or Virginia, which is where my family comes from. So like originates from ancestry stuff, right? So that's where there's definitely it's definitely talking about your heart and your root chakra. It's definitely talking about the insecurities that lie in both of those places. Some of it is ancestral and comes from other wounds from your past. But then there's very much this conversation and this energy here, Virgo, and this is full Virgo energy for sure, just in a negative sense, negative in the negative side of the spectrum. There's a lot of fear over here, and it has very much to do with this journey of being a mom, and trying to lead children, lead others out of a very dark space. You are trying to possibly help others out of this energy as well. And that's where it can suck you down and you get stuck in the Silent Hill too, right? So that's, whew. So I mean, like, whew, we gotta cleanse that energy out, yeah. I'm interested in this card now because this was the one that was like a karate chop. So if we got all that, like like this one was a lot more powerful coming through. We just said, this is your right hand. So what's up with this card? Ace of Cups in reverse. Let me sit with it. Okay, with this Ace of Cups in reverse, Granted, I don't have to take it in reverse, but it's not giving it to me in this negative way today. It's more, it's like literally like Spider-Man, like, which, hello, Sapphire Spider-Oracle. It's like talking about how Spider-Man's spiderweb like shoots out of his wrist. It's like you are giving the waters of life, which the waters of life, let me flip the card over. It's a beautiful card, right? We have this like deer, this elk, we have a swan, we have a beautiful waterfall. Waterfalls in this deck are especially symbols of like happiness. So that's what I mean. It's like the root of happiness. It's the ace. It's a very powerful life force. It just said a very powerful life force. And that's the whole thing. It's like you're giving the waters of life, which we were talking about mom symbolism, right? It's like your water breaking type deal. Like that's the whole thing. It's like you are the waters of life. Your body is the waters of life. Some of you might literally be in a birthing process. Some of you are going through a deep emotional rebirthing process. And these cards are here to tell you, Virgo, that it said what you do, woo, is really beautiful. It's that full-on mom energy, spiritual energy, just flowing out of you. And it's also giving it to me like that Spider-Man, which Spider-Man just came out, right? So that's the other thing, is like shooting webs out to swing from building to building, kind of being that superhero masculine energy. He's wanting me to like get this dark energy out of here. Like it just wants me to, it's almost like fanning it. That's what I'm saying. Some of you guys Virgo, like not me, but some of you guys Virgo, I think are like seriously like almost like going into labor and like possibly about to literally give birth to children and stuff. Yeah, and like your whole family, everyone's around you. And there's a lot of emotion. It's coming in so many different ways. Some of it's fear. Some of it's just like deep mom emotions. Some of it is just like kind of overwhelm and confusion. Deep stuff. Deep stuff, Virgo. Sorry, I'm collecting myself. I was not expecting this energy here in this reading. This card really set it off. And I guess it's just because like there's images in that movie I was talking about that are so like deeply disturbing for me. And as an empath, like, whew, y'all, I cannot like, and as a mom, I saw that when I was a teenager. I don't know if I could handle that movie if I was being a mom and stuff now. Like, I don't know. But it said Spider-Man, I'm game for it. So we're down for some Spider-Man. There's such a, you're protected. You're protecting, you're giving. But, whew, honey. Y'all, there's like so much fear energy that you are cutting through over here. What's on this left side? Let's go to that feminine energy. And it just said in your strength, because if you're a feminine especially, like this is your inner strength, right? So here we go. And look at that, we have a swan over here. It just said, Spirit, you're like trying to make me cry up here today. It just said like you're very giving of yourself. This Queen of Arrows is a Queen of Swords. I often call her the Queen of Sorrows just because this card represents a woman who is either a widow or single but in that sorrowful way, or going through a hard time. Like she chooses separation because of just like the need for that solitude, whether it's related to toxic energies or fear or drama or hiding, or just needs to collect herself or wants to keep her inner peace, right? And that's the thing. The Queen of Arrows has been through all kinds of very painful situations. Because that's the thing, is a Queen of Swords, like, that's the only way you become a Queen of Swords, is what it's saying. A Queen of Swords energy is literally someone who has to learn to pick up the sword to defend herself. And your sword is your tongue and your speech and your communications. It's your wits and your thoughts and your mind, so keeping your mind in check. It's someone who can seem very sharp and very cold to others, but a lot of times it's this like cold wisdom that gets built around the Queen of Swords, because that's the whole thing, is like it's talking to me right now. It's telling me like the Queen of Swords is somebody who picks up the sword, uses the sword when she has to, but like she really don't want to, you know? Swans don't like just go around looking for a fight, trying to beat people up. When you get into a swan's territory or something like that, they can be very protective. And it just mentioned like babies again, right? Animals can be very protective of those creatures. And that's kind of, and of themselves. And so that's the whole thing. It's like, she's keeping distance from things to avoid this energy, to avoid the fear that comes with it, to help her navigate those dark spaces. Yeah, and it just brought me back to these little sparks here. That's in that whole film, Silent Hill. Is like, there's like embers and sparks because it's the coal town. The coal town burned because of underground fires. It's all like, that's the whole thing. She is navigating this very dark, sorry, I had to edit that one. She is navigating this very dark space. And it's pointing out there's a lot of there's a lot of good friends and spirit guides and ancestors in that space with you, helping you navigate it, Virgo. And the ones of you that aren't like giving birth and going through a lot of these things like that, then you're definitely going through a dark night of the soul in essence. But it's kind of giving it to me that like while you're in that dark night of the soul, it's like you it just gave it to me a little bit like Alice when she's lost in the woods in Wonderland, and how like the lights will light up and stuff, right? And you can reach a certain part in the forest where it's like maybe you come across this group, like this bonfire, right? This group of people. That's a very brotherly protective energy. So now there is this little bit of an undertone that's like, she could be interested in shelter. She could be interested in this protection. Instead of, she's very nervous because this energy. She's very nervous because of things that she's been through. She doesn't want to have to hurt or fight anyone. And she doesn't want to get hurt or have to fight to defend herself either. But she's being very giving, it says. And because that's the thing, your right hand is the energy you're sending out. And so she's trying to send out that energy. And it was giving this to me like a crescent moon as well. So that's what I mean. There's something there about the moon, like there's this deep emotional flowing energy that has to be navigated. And you are giving it, you are swinging. It's still giving me that Spider-Man reference. So navigating through Oh, and it just said towers. Yeah, because Spider-Man's in a city, right? And there's all the skyscrapers, all those towers. You're navigating all these towers, all these tower moments. And trying to be giving and send that out. I think it was also like, not sure if it's going to stick, if it's going to land, right? If Spider-Man's little spider web don't stick, then I'm like, oops, and there you go, falling through the sky. So that's the whole thing too. It's like, is this good energy that I'm giving out going to stick, or is it going to come back and hurt me? Maybe I should chill by myself and not like be around people. I've got a lot on my plate as like a mom and things like that. Got a lot to give. So she's navigating all of this and trying to figure that out. This is your left hand then. If this is your right hand, karate chopping, Spider-Man swinging and slinging, then what's in this left hand over here? What are you receiving at this time? That's pretty. This is 21. This is the world tree. I literally put up my Christmas tree today, so yeah, feeling that vibe. The world tree is all about completion. It is the last major arcana card. Whew! There's a pain like dead center of my heart chakra, like in my sternum, like it's like this little point right here, just touching the sternum. Kind of like this little bitty door, right? And so that's where, with this world tree card, it kind of said like the end of the world, but like in this really positive way, Virgo. In this really positive way. It just gave me a whole new world from Aladdin. But it's very much like you got to go through the door. Now it just gave me Nightmare Before Christmas, how he goes into the tree door and goes into Christmas Town. Yes, okay. So I'm saying, yeah, it's an entering of a new world. It just said a new era. It's a major life completion cycle, which is why it feels so intense. Especially when we were coming up over here with this mom energy and stuff, right? Talking about how important mother figures are in the eyes of children, like the next generation, your waters of life that you're trying to give out to others. And the whole spirit team, it just said it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child, right? And especially we've got this energy here that hints at that you either might not have a village, or you're kind of staying away from a village. You're not really sure. You have plenty of people around you to support and protect you, but there's something here with some distance and solitude, and you're definitely completing stuff. I'm much calmer now. I'm telling you, like the energy coming off of these cards over here, Virgo, I was having a hard time getting through those because of how much like emotion was coming off of that. Like now that we're over here, it's talking about how on this feminine side, the energy you are receiving is deeply rooted, like deeply rooted and stable and grounded. This has been your life path. You're continuing on to your next phase of life. And I was just saying, like, that's what makes the world go round, right? Like, we just going through the next phase of life, the next door, and everything like that. So it said you're deeply rooted and stable and secure and peaceful and grounded. That's the energy that you're receiving over here. Why? Because this is like ancient life path completion. And I say ancient because it just feels like it keeps talking about like generations of people. So I mean like people passing down stories. It's like generations of people. Things that have stood the test of time. Like you've already been on this life cycle before. Like, and this one's talking more about literal past lives. Like not so much about just things you did in your past in this life. It's talking about like things you've done in a past life. And there's a lot of like soul completion and karma lessons that have come through. And you've been wrapping that up. And somewhere inside of you, on your feminine side, you know this. And you're very okay with this completion, because that's the whole thing. This is such a calmer, more stable energy over here. Like, significant difference in how stable this energy is over here. And that's the whole thing. Especially if you're a feminine. The energy that you're receiving at this time is encouraging you to, like, keep whatever wits and space and solitude you need in order to keep that strength. Know that your strength is very deeply rooted, and it goes beyond just your village. It goes beyond just you in this lifetime. It is as old as time. It is a deep, deep, deep strength. You're facing a lot of fears, Virgo. A lot of them about being a parent, being a woman, being a mom. Oh man, and I didn't even see that until just now. There's a skull on top of this rock here. You're literally facing a lot of like death. It said like death threats, but it's not like a death threat. Hopefully not. Y'all stay protected out there. Not like that. It's just, remember, death is a symbol. It's a transformation, right? And it can feel very threatening, and that's the whole thing. It's like you're facing a lot of threatening ends. You're looking at a lot of new solid beginnings, though. When those things end, you're conquering those fears. You're navigating this very dark, Silent Hill type of environment. It just gave me a Weird Al song, and that just like totally made my day, because it just got weird over here, and this card is weird. And it said, and somehow in the middle of it all, and that's the line that it was about to say. It said, somehow in the middle of it all, the phone got knocked off the hook. And that's where it's the song Albuquerque from Weird Al, which is like this 11-minute monologue song, which is really weird and crazy, and it's cuckoo, but I freaking love that song, and it's so funny. So that was a nice, like, humorous pick-me-up. There is an energy over here that's trying to give you something funny, and I think it's coming from masculine energy. So I was talking about, like, that brotherly love, right? They're trying to give you something funny. Your family, your friends, your supporters are trying to give you funny things to tap into so that it lightens your mood and your spirit. You gotta get out of that. Gotta get out of that. Ooh, and that was on the first shuffle, yo. All right, let's see. I don't want to take like 4 cards. Let's get like 1 or 2 more. Just 1 or 2. And then I'm gonna pull a rune. It just one last time. It's just talking about the comparison of those cards. Like, stop comparing your own energy to some projected energy that might be being put on you. Look at this card. You are being wounded by others or by your own thoughts. This is not you shooting yourself, Virgo. This is not you doing things the wrong way, but that is everything that is being shot at you, or that you are hurting yourself with in your mind. And if it's just yourself, like, whew, that's some deep mental energy. But like, if you got some other folks sending that energy at you, like, no wonder you feel like you're going through a literal, like, hellish landscape. So let's keep going. Yeah, we're gonna get 2. One right here, one right here. What's this? Lovely. I've left that for real. It said, yeah, you need some joy. Whew, don't we know it? Just love all the white feathers today. It was funny, I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw all these images, all these little videos of peacocks spreading their feathers. And they had some white peacocks, which were, man, woo, those tails are beautiful. And so it's just really pointing out all the white feathers today. This is about joy. This is about friends getting together, good times, little parties. It's often, this card in this deck in particular is often about someone returning home safely. So again, kind of like the whole I'll be home for Christmas energy. It is the holidays. You're facing a lot of dark stuff. Like you absolutely need your family and your support team, right? It was just saying, like, it's okay. It's okay. Like, it's safe to mingle and join with these people. I don't think you're, like, alone, Virgo. I just think that, like you're really contemplating it for the holidays. That's that total Queen of Swords energy. You're really contemplating that. I just said, like, you've been choosing that. That's the whole thing, is like, you've been choosing to stay a little isolated. I said, because you're so unsure. There's joy to be had. It's okay. Like, go be among people. Another part of you, Virgo, doesn't want to go mingle with people because of all of this emotional energy that you have right now in this reading. Which, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, this is my sign, and I'm totally resonating with this reading. So don't get me wrong, you guys. Like, this is me. But I definitely don't just get this emotional for my sign alone. I will get this for other people's readings. If I'm catching emotions off of things, I'm catching emotions off of things. So if you're a Virgo and you're resonating with all of this, then that's the whole thing. It's like you've been choosing to keep yourself a little separated from everybody. And it has so much to do with just like, you don't want to, it said, burden people. You don't want to tie people up with your stuff and hurt other people. You're worried that what you're giving is not being received in the right way. That's why this card is in reverse. But that's why I wanted to like imply the whole like Spider-Man thing, right? Some things are totally in your head and your own fears and are being skewed, and some things are being projected onto you. And that's why it's had me fanning and clearing out so much of this energy in here, because it's just a lot. And so that's where it's just saying, like, you could choose to experience and have this joy and mingle with other people. You don't have to stay over here all by yourself, right? What's this last card? Two of Stones challenge. I was talking about, not this card, but I was talking about this in another reading. I was talking about how in this deck we have the hares, and the hares, particularly the female hares, will box for dominance. And it just says something about ice cream, because there's these like blue flowers, like Bluebell homemade ice cream. You are fighting within yourself, Virgo. Don't get it twisted. You are fighting within yourself, but you are not just fighting yourself. And that's what I'm saying, is like straight up, look, there's no way this woman is firing these arrows at her own figure. It is a symbol the symbolic image. It could be your own mental thoughts, but I'm telling you, it said, I know. It said, I'm telling you, I know. You are not shooting yourself with these arrows. These are being shot at you. You are not just fighting yourself. There is another opponent. And it was saying this right hair is you. Because here's your right hand, and that's what we're talking about. Karate chop. That's what we're talking about. So the Spider-Man energy. This right hair has the hand on top. The upper hand. They have the upper hand. It's saying, why are you so scared? You have the upper hand. Part of you is scared because you're scared. It's almost like you're scared to experience this joy and this completion and this harmony and camaraderie and friendship and everything. That's the part of you that you are fighting internally. The part of you that's scared to experience these things. But that is right. Like, that's an internal program that you can work on in meditation. And I don't think that's what you're really, I mean, like, it is what you're working on, but I don't really think that that's the thing, right? You're working on the person that is shooting at you, firing at you, fighting you, boxing you. And you're having to stand your ground a lot. And I was talking about that Silent Hill energy. She has to fight through a lot of stuff. Here it is, right? I was talking about those nurses. Man, those nurses are creepy in that movie. You have to dodge them very much. And don't even get me started on that big guy with that like big triangular head and the giant sword, knife, scissors thing. Like, oh God, I hate that movie. I hate that whole thing. But that's the energy, and that's what it's talking about. It's like this. It is not just you up in your head. There is a dark energy that you've been moving through very much. And there is very much this Spider-Man, masculine, brotherly, protective energy wants you to karate chop that shit, yo. Okay? Spider-Man, that shit. Ooh. You've been definitely in, like, I mean, this could be actual physical fighting, like actual boxing. This could just be kind of egging people on and stuff, or, you know. Oh, and look, it says how the left hair is reaching out and like actually making physical contact with this right one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For some of you, there's actually some physical contact. Like, nobody's bleeding and bruised and bloody or whatever in here yet. It's just like, it's the, right? Put a little room for you, Virgo. You need a room. You need something. Final message. This is for the end of the year. Sorry, we coming back to the wrap up. You know what the wrap up of this is, Virgo? Like, you are your own superhero, but don't be afraid to accept support and friendship, and don't be afraid of the strength and the power that you just feel is really deeply rooted in this. It said, like, it just said something like, this is your home, this is your family, this is your kid, this is your life. This is your peace and your inner sanity. This is your domain and your territory. And if someone is constantly hurting you, thinking that what you give out is not good enough, or that it's, I don't know, bad or wrong compared to this like nice Spider-Man energy we had over here, you just gotta get out of that. You gotta get out of that Silent Hill. Gotta get out of that energy. And the rune that you need most to wrap up the end of this year on a positive note and really seal the deal on this is what? Yes. I tell you what. That was the one, too. That was the one. This is a great rune. It's a blank rune. It said clean slate, blank slate. Absolutely. That might be the thing for you. Now, this book that I brought in here doesn't have a definition for this rune. because it's a blank rune and it's the last rune, and some people don't include it. So this is definitely just like, I only have this definition for you guys. And here's what it is. It stands for the letter Y, which is, or YR, and the keywords are yew tree, eternity, new direction, radical change, complete success, maximum protection. And it says, note, this does not correspond to a period of the year or hour, but is rather a time outside of time. Very much like how Silent Hill is this weird ghost town outside of time and space, but it's still there, right? That's what I mean. It's like, and you have maximum protection. You have maximum protection. Whoa, it just gave me the Fellowship of the Rings when they're like, and you have my sword, and you have my axe, and you have my bow. Right? Oh, Virgo. It's always nice to hear. Yeah, you going through it, boo. I love this rune. Maximum protection. Maximum protection is just what it represents. Like, and it just said it can't be predicted. Like, it's, that's the whole thing. Because there's no rune symbol on here. Ooh, nice. It said because there's no rune symbol on here, there's no way to, like, detect what its true meaning is, what the true message is, right? Kind of like we were talking about how, where are these arrows coming from? Who's shooting them? Why is this card in reverse? What does that really mean? There's something trying to mess with some of your energy in this blank rune. It's like it can't be interpreted one way or another. That's what makes it so special and powerful and magical. This is maximum protection. These folks in this card right here, it literally could be anyone. It says, so keep your eyes peeled for friends and family and spirit guides and angels and all of that stuff, because you don't know. Whoa. It just said you don't know how protected you are, Virgo. And that's the title of this video, because that was beautiful. That was fucking beautiful. You don't know how protected you are. Please end this energy in 2021, Virgo. That's what I got for you. This was a really long reading. You needed to get all that out. You have a beautiful day. And I'll see you guys on the next batch in 2022. Thank you so much. Bye.